Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It's Thursday morning, the 11th of April. I'm going to talk about the Sebastian Rogers case today, but first, let me just wish a happy heavenly birthday to Reese, who would have been 31 years old today, had it not been for the careless actions of an absolute clown. As it is, Reese is forever 21. So, Sebastian Rogers, 15-year-old young man with autism and a chromosomal disorder called 6q27 chromosomal deletion syndrome, who's been missing since February 26th from Hendersonville in Tennessee, which is about 10 miles north of Nashville. Despite an exhaustive search that went on for 8 days, by law enforcement and search teams from multiple states. They covered a radius of 5 miles, with the centre being Sebastian's home. There's been no sign of him. Not caught on any camera. Whether or not there was a scent of him that was picked up by the search dogs is a contentious issue. It shouldn't be, but it is. Law enforcement said there was no track. Chris Profoot said that multiple dogs tracked. We know from the dispatch audio that one dog, Max, a German Shepherd, did get a track. Whether that was Sebastian or not remains to be seen. However, Nick Barris, a reporter for News Channel 5 Nashville, has given an update on his Facebook. The 15-year-old autistic teen has now been missing since February 26. That's 45 days from his home in Hendersonville. And there are no new developments. To be clear, this remains a two-pronged effort. And I'm glad that Nick has taken the time to explain this, because I've explained this many, many times. Most recently in my video yesterday. And I describe it every time there's a missing person where, the public is aware that there's a massive search. They have to stop at some point. In Sebastian's case, they stopped that acute search that covered a radius of 5 miles from Sebastian's home after 8 days. Stopped it after 8 days. But it didn't mean to say they stopped searching completely. They came back for a couple of days last week to cover some of the same ground. I think it was useful to do it then, before all the foliage and stuff that starts really growing for summer. And then it's more difficult to see someone who's maybe deceased in the undergrowth. As I said last week when I talked about the search, I found it interesting that they concentrated on areas alongside roadways. One of the early theories from law enforcement was that Sebastian had been hit by a car. There's no evidence of that, but that trash truck that came around Sebastian's neighbourhood, Seth, Sebastian's biological dad, said that it was about 5 a.m, not 3:11 a.m, as Nick Barris told us, because it was Nick Barris that released the flashlights video. He got it from a source. It must have been a neighbour, because it was a neighbour's security camera. And there was a lot of confusion in my comments yesterday when I talked about this flashlights video. Like people saying, well, who was recording a trash truck in the middle of the night? No, it was a security camera. And then someone recorded that footage that security camera had taken on their phone. That's why it looks kind of shaky. They gave it to Nick Barris, who said that he thought it was 2 people out round the back of Sebastian's home. Seth has come out and said he heard from law enforcement that this was a trash truck. And he most recently told the Pascal show the lights on it were the warning lights on the top of a trash truck. Now, I know there's some conversation on other channels about this trash truck, and you don't see the full gamut of lights that would be on this trash truck. Dependent on how good that camera is, dependent on its distance away from that light source, it's difficult for a camera, unless it's really good and really close, etc., to pick up red light. It's physics. It's to do with the frequency of that light, red light. Red light doesn't make it as far. A white light, that travels further. We had this conversation in the Kylie Rodney case when you couldn't see any red light from the cars that were driving around the area. But that camera, the fire camera, was like 2 miles away. So definitely you would not pick up red lights from vehicles. So I don't know. I don't know what to believe about this flashlights video. I really don't. I can't see a trash truck there unless I see the full video, unless I see how exactly, you know, where exactly that was, where exactly the camera was, everything. I want to see that for myself. I'm not going to speculate on whether that's a trash truck, but it's interesting, if law enforcement indeed believe it is a trash truck, that law enforcement aren't just coming out and telling us what that was. Nick Barris, in his one-to-one with Chief Deputy from Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Eric Craddock, last week, asked him exactly what those lights were, and he said he couldn't say, because it might become significant later on. So I wondered, I speculated on this in a live stream that I did last week, that maybe one of law enforcement's early theories was that he was knocked down by the trash truck and they panicked and took his body somewhere. I mean, look, it's happened before. Happened in the Athena Strand case. So I wonder whether that was one of their early theories, and that would map onto why they checked the landfill. They did a day search at the landfill. They've searched along roadways, made special efforts to search like the woodland around roadways, you know, in case Sebastian was hit. But they didn't know what they'd hit. They thought they'd hit a deer or something and carried on their merry way. And Sebastian has crawled off and died somewhere, sadly. But there's no evidence of that. So let's go back to Nick Barris. To be clear, this remains a two-pronged effort. It's a two-pronged attack, and any search effort is a two-pronged attack when it gets to this stage, when you've exhausted the acute search and that person just isn't there. You know, the first few days, you're hoping that you're going to be able to recover that person alive. If they're injured somewhere, they're hiding out somewhere, got lost in the woods, all of that is a distinct possibility. And law enforcement in those early press conferences said that Sebastian, he likes hiding in small places. And it's come out from a neighbour who lives a few doors down. This is actually on the dispatch audio, if you listen very, very carefully, that a neighbour told law enforcement that they'd seen Sebastian hiding under a car. Not on the day or the day before he disappeared. This is some time before, some time in the recent past. He was hiding under a car in the neighbourhood. So even though Katie has said that Sebastian's never run away before, he kind of has. No, he didn't go very far, but he was hiding. Why? I don't know. Maybe because he was in trouble. Maybe because he was upset. Maybe because he's been abused in that home. We don't know. But it's not quite true that Sebastian has never run away before. Didn't get very far. But what if this time he did? That's what they were thinking in those first few days. That's why at the press conferences they were saying to people, and they still are saying to people, you know, check anywhere that a teenager might be able to hide, because that seems to be his past behaviour. Past behaviour sometimes, not always, predicts future behaviour. So the search for any missing person is a two-pronged attack when it's been going on for this long. First, there's the search. We know authorities and volunteers have done a very thorough, organised search in the teen's neighbourhood, and they have done this more than once, most recently last week, retracing steps to see if anything was missed. They've also searched a landfill in Kentucky. Again, is it because one of their early theories, law enforcement, was that the trash truck hit him and they panicked? Is it because Sebastian was murdered and put in a dumpster? Now, there was a rumour early on that Sebastian's trash, that trash from his house, was heavier than normal. Well, Sebastian was 113 pounds at his last doctor's appointment, so that's pretty heavy. I don't believe that Sebastian was put in the trash at his house. I don't believe that. But if someone murdered him and put him in a dumpster, let's say somewhere else, that's possible. But they didn't find anything at the landfill. Dogs, drones and officers on foot have all been utilised and nothing. Again, contentious about that dog track. Second, there's the investigation. This is where authorities are looking into the possibility of foul play. Sources tell me that Sebastian simply could not have vanished without a trace by himself, and that someone else, very likely, could have been involved. Well, we know that Sebastian had some learning difficulties because of his genetic condition. However, he was very intelligent. I think he could have got away on his own. I think he could have planned to go away on his own. But to have evaded all the efforts that law enforcement have done, evaded every single camera, I don't believe he could have done that on his own. That he planned it out so very meticulously that he avoided every single camera. That's just not feasible. That's not feasible. Now, it's possible he could have got away if he followed the track that Chris Proudfoot says the dogs took, and we've no evidence law enforcement said that the dogs didn't track. But anyway, if he went out of his house, turned left out of his front door, gone round the back, and then cut through the houses into Kellen, and then across the road and into the construction site, he could have evaded cameras, especially with it being dark. To be hiding out for, it's the 46th day now, to be hiding out that long, no. Running away because he didn't want to be there anymore, or running away out of anger and getting lost, distinct possibility. Could have done that on his own. But the chances are, given the exhaustive search efforts, he would have been found by now. Unless he got out of the search area, unless he went further than the 5-mile radius. Now, I don't know who Nick Barris's sources are. Is there a criminal investigation? Not quite. Why? Now, there's been a lot of speculation. Talked about this yesterday, that, oh, well, it's now a criminal investigation. No, because people hear the word investigation, they think it's a criminal investigation. No, investigation is just an exploration of facts, events, putting them together, investigating them. You can investigate the existence of aliens. You can investigate the existence of Bigfoot. You can investigate the existence of the Loch Ness Monster. It doesn't mean any of those things are criminal investigations. But people have got it into their head that because that law enforcement are in the investigative phase, they are investigating a crime. Now, of course, they are investigating the possibility of a crime, but it's not been labelled a criminal investigation, like a homicide investigation or a kidnap investigation, because they've no evidence. They're still investigating as if it was the first day, because at this point there is no evidence of foul play, no physical evidence, no security video, no eyewitnesses. So we have to assume that law enforcement have looked for physical evidence, evidence of a crime being committed in his home and also outside. Do authorities have potential suspects in mind? I'm told yes, and that no one has been cleared. Now, that's new, because law enforcement have consistently said that the parents, the stepdad, the family, not the focus of their investigation, that they're continuing to cooperate. But they won't clear anyone. Are you listening, Chris Proudfoot? Are you listening? They won't clear anyone. In the Michael Vaughan case from Fruitland, Idaho, a little 5-year-old who went missing in July of 2021. In Michael's case, the parents were not suspects. The house was searched multiple times, and despite what a few people said on the internet, the parents weren't suspects. The parents didn't do it, and they've cooperated throughout. They've stood with law enforcement at the press conferences. They've done a lot, especially Michael's mother, Brandy. She's done so much. She's searched, she's raised awareness, she's done so much for Michael. And it was evident from relatively early on in that investigation that Michael had been abducted. Indeed, there's 4 named suspects in his case. But nobody has been cleared. They don't clear people They might say, we've ruled them out. Take the Idaho 4 case. They said, look, we've no evidence that they surviving roommates or anything. No evidence that the boyfriends or friends of the victims were responsible in any way. They don't like the word cleared, though. They don't use the word cleared. Anyway, but the simple fact is there's nothing to link anyone to Sebastian's disappearance. It would be interesting. Again, we don't know the source of this. We don't know if this is a law enforcement source or not. But there's potential suspects in the case. Now, is that the family? I'm sure they're looking very closely at the family, given that there's just no sign of Sebastian. But there could be other suspects that we're not aware of. In fact, we're working that 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle with literally half of the puzzle pieces missing, aren't we? Law enforcement have more of the puzzle pieces. They don't have all of them, or else they'd have solved this. But they have more pieces than we do. His father, stepfather and mother all continue to cooperate. Contrary to some of the wild rumours circulating on social media, no arrests are imminent. Good, that's cleared that one up. So what's happening? Sheriff's detectives and TBI special agents continue to vet tips that come in to 1-800-TBI find. Sumner County EMA Director Kent Widener tells me his crews go where investigators tell them to search. Sadly, no confirmed sightings and no indication whatsoever of what happened to Sebastian. I promise to stay on this story. To date, what happened to the teen remains a confounding mystery. It does indeed. What do you think? So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.